Money, 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 money. I'm rolling in the money, 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 money. I get that fast money in a. I get that fast money in a. Money, 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 money. I'm rolling in the.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Sharp Bets and Fantasy Sets, your weekly podcast for all things sports betting in the world of football and fantasy football. I am your host with the most fantasy gold out of anybody, at least here, I think, Nick Fiorentino. With me today are my co-hosts. I have big time Tim Secor, might as well be called prime time Tim Secor. Tim, how you doing?
Doing good. I'm doing good. Nick, I got one thing that's a little upsetting. Week one, my Jets take an L to the Bills, and our special guest just happens to be a Buffalo Bills fan. But that's all right. I'm jumping ship, switching teams. This week, it's all about the Saints. Anytime Tom Brady takes an L, everyone in the sports world is a happy person. Let's win some more money this week, boys.
That's fair. That's fair. We'll go right over to our special guest. If we had Miguel on like we did last week, at least we all could be talking about our L's. But Doug, a Bills fan, fantasy and sports betting expert, and somebody who knows a lot about football, and one of the best Pong players you've never played before. Doug Hewitt is our special guest. Doug, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Good. Everything's good. Just want to say, just remember, nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills.
Oh boy, it's you can tell it's 2020 when we have a Super Bowl champ within the last 3 years. As a fan, we have the reigning NFC champs, and the person that's talking about winning a game is the Buffalo Bills fan. But that's my segue into Sir. Sir, how are we doing today, buddy?
I'm all right. It was a rough week, but we're going to get right. Week 2, sick. You know what time it is.
I know.
You know what time it is. So, again, the show is Sharp Bets and Fantasy Sets, and you could follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SBFS Show. So that's our initials, show. You can also find us on the True Exact Radio family. Our show will be on iTunes on Thursdays through True Exact Radio. We'll also be on YouTube under the True Exact Radio channel. You can follow True Exact Radio on Twitter and Instagram at True Exact Radio. We ask that you rate, review, and subscribe and give us some likes on the video. Don't be the kid in school that kind of copied off the other kid and took credit for that A+. Give us some credit, rate, review, subscribe, and we'll go over some of our picks this week. So just to recap, the week that was week 1 in the NFL. For me personally, fantasy, I went 3-3. Survivor obviously lost with Indy. A couple Survivor picks I hit when I picked Pitt and New England. But the fantasy 3-3, I mean, outside of getting abused by Tim with Carson and Jacobs in one of my losses, just hit with the injury bug big time. We're looking through the list. I mean, I had one team where Connor got hurt early in the game. Then I didn't start Galladay or Sanders. So now you're talking about 3 of my first 4 picks did not play or play very well. I was also down 7 with just Connor to go, and obviously lost that team. So
Rip.
a lot of injuries so far. We're looking at Marlon Mack on the IR done for the season. We're looking at Blake Jarwin IR done for the season. Mike Thomas with a rolled ankle. Kittle knee. James Conner with the ankle. Philip Lindsay with toe issues, turf toe. Le'Veon Bell just put on IR for 3 weeks today. Parker hamstring injury. Gerald Everett back issue. Njoku knee issue. And, of course, Njoku, I mean, obviously not a huge fantasy guy, but was supposed to be part of the 2 tight end sets for Cleveland that was going to make Baker Mayfield pretty comfortable. We could see what their offense did without him. And then you got Sanders, Galladay, and Sutton all inactive before the games even started. So a ton of injuries. I think I know the answer, but guys, we'll start with Doug. What do you think with all of these injuries? How are you combating it in fantasy? And do you think it's going to be like this all season, or will it start to level out?
Well, you know that those first couple of weeks, there's always those running backs that are available. You got the guy in the Rams, scored like 30 points last week. Snell Jr. is going to be a big pickup for Pittsburgh. Seems like whoever Pittsburgh throws in the backfield always seems to produce and put up points. So, You know, those first couple weeks, there's always those big waiver wire picks. It's almost worth losing the first week just to get the top of the waiver wire.
Absolutely. Tim, sir, what do you guys think in terms of injuries? What are you guys doing to combat it? I'm sure you guys have some players on your teams that are hurt. I know, Tim, you have Mike Thomas since you abused me. Luckily, not with Mike Thomas. He didn't do anything. I thought I had a shot after him and Breeze kind of didn't do so well. But what are you thinking?
I mean, so week one, I actually was lucky. I think I only got hit with 2 injuries. Connor in one league that I got blown out anyway, so it didn't really affect me. And Mike Thomas, where I luckily had a couple of guys go off against you. But I mean, that's what the draft is for. Hopefully your draft had a big bench where you could possibly store people that you might have found upside later in the season, and hopefully they panned out for you. I mean, that's about the best you can do besides pray on the waiver wire and hope that one of those flyers hit for you as well. And that's the beauty of fantasy. You can win a season in the draft, and unfortunately, you can draft the best that you possibly can and get hit with injury bugs and lose a season.
Yeah. Sir, I'm going to change topic just a little bit to you, obviously, because I think we're going down the same road with a lot of the same answers. But for you, losing Kittle for not maybe your fantasy team, but obviously your favorite team, their backup tight end is somebody who we're all pretty familiar with and has been in the league for a while with a ton of injury history himself in Jordan Reid. Do you think that if Kittle was to miss any time, that Jordan Reid is an option in fantasy leagues? He was a really good fantasy player. Outside of getting a lot of concussions, do you think that he can be a viable option this week on the wire?
He might not be bad, but the thing with Jordan Reid, we all know, he's one shot away from being done. The concussion problem is serious. So but in fantasy, I like to draft a lot of depth. Like, just keep receivers, running backs, just keep drafting them because injuries are going to happen. So depth is key in fantasy.
I think at the end of the day, it's just there was no preseason. A lot of these hamstring injuries would have worked themselves out early in the season, early in the preseason, I should say. And now that we're going into week one without really any in-game action, I think this is going to be the norm for at least the next couple of weeks. I'm going to stop from saying the new norm because I'm nauseated by that phrase, but it looks like it's going to be like this for the foreseeable future. So I guess we'll see where it goes. We will get into primetime picks. Which is clearly Tim's segment for going 3-1 last week in his primetime picks. I went 1-3. Sir went 1-3, and Miguel he went 1-4 or 1-3. I think he took Kansas City, and he was out on everything else. So, Tim, we'll start with you on the Thursday night picks. You guys want to run down all three, or do you want to go game by game?
It's up to you. Up to you. Just be glad they didn't have the Burger King crown at lunchtime, or I would have been rocking that right now.
We'll go. Well, since you did win, before we go through the Thursday night slate, and let's go game by game. Here is a cheers to Tim, who picked Rumpelmans as his shot of choice if he were to win. I can't imagine people buy Rumpelmans because they like it. I feel like it's only ever bought as a punishment. So cheers to Tim, who's punishing us right now.
Cheers, boys.
Well, I don't have to brush my teeth later, so.
How do you not like that? So good.
So minty fresh. Come on, bro.
Yeah, I don't have to brush my teeth later. I'm lucky.
You know what I'm saying?
So we'll start with the Thursday night game, and really not a big time matchup that I think anybody's really excited about. We have the Browns and the Bengals. Cincinnati actually +6. Seems like the Browns win the offseason every single year. Last year, with the Odell Beckham trade and some of the guys that they got on their team. Luckily, Freddie Kitchens is a fuck-up coach, and they didn't do too well. But we saw Wisniewski in his debut not do so well himself. So, Tim, we'll kick it off with you. Who do you like in this game?
Until the Browns prove that they are a real NFL team, I don't think I can pick them regardless of what the spread is. So I'm going to take the Bengals +6. They fought pretty hard in their opening week one game. They, a field goal injury kick away from going to overtime, and who knows what would have happened. But week 2, the more the rookie's going to get to play, the better shot they got to win. So give me the Bengals. I'll take the under 44, and that's about it.
Sir, what do you like?
I have to agree with him. I'm give me the Bengals +6 and the under. I mean, as you said, it's hard to bet Baker Mayfield. It's hard. I mean, he's so roller coaster, up, down. So give me Joe Burrow. Give me the Rook +6. Have a nice day.
Doug, what do you got?
I think I'm going to go the other way on this one. I know Cleveland looked terrible. They did play a Super Bowl contending team week 1. Cincinnati played I was going to say San Diego, LA Chargers team that they're not very good. As long as Tyrod Taylor's back there, the Chargers aren't going to win many games. I got it at 5.5. I would take Cleveland minus the 5.5. I think they'll bounce back a little bit as long as they can get their running game going. I don't see Cincy being able to. Remember, Cincy was one of the worst teams in the NFL last year. You got a rookie quarterback who's just playing his second NFL game. I just can't see Cincinnati winning this game.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow, some flashes of some real talent and then some terrible fucking mistakes at shuffle pass. Interception was just about as bad as it gets. I have to go the Bengals too. I'm not going to elaborate much more than what was already said because I agree 100%. Until I see the Browns do something that is unlike the Browns, and I understand that Cincinnati was terrible. I just think that they have more continuity on offense. You see Odell Beckham, the greatest number 2, pun intended, in the league, frustrated on every single pass. I just don't see them keeping up. So looks like we got Bengals for 3, and Doug, you're taking the Browns. For Sunday Night Football, we have the Patriots and the Hawks, and obviously the Patriots getting 4.5 points. Tim, again, we'll kick it off with you. What are you thinking?
Hey, short, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks -4.5. I don't think it matters who they're going to play this season early on. They looked unbelievable week 1, and even though Cam looked pretty good himself running the ball, I think Pete Carroll's going to take Cam out of the game, and Russell Wilson's going to steamroll. I'm going to go Seahawks -4.5 and over 45.
Sir, what do you got?
You already know, man. I cannot bet the Seahawks, bro. Come on. Give me Cam Newton. Give me the Patriots +4.5. Superman all day.
Doug?
Seattle looked really good week 1. New England, Cam Newton's only second game there. I'm going to take Seattle and the 4. I got it at 4.5 points. Seattle looked really good week 1 with Carson in the backfield, Russell Wilson. I mean, they look like a real Super Bowl contender. I think it'll be close, and I don't think there will be a lot of points scored. So I'd actually probably take the under because New England's defense is legit and it's real. So I would take Seattle with the points, give them the points, 4.5, whatever it is, and the under.
I became a professional football fan in 2002, I would say, would be the first time that I really started following. So I've only known NFL football with the Patriots being a dominant force. And if I'm getting Bill Belichick and plus anything, it's hard for me to not go that way. I understand that the Hawks look good, and I'm not sure who came up with the hashtag first of let Russ cook. Normally a guy who runs the ball the first 3 quarters and then throws at the end, but he definitely cooked in last Sunday's game. But I'm going to take the Patriots. I mean, Cam Newton looked great. They were running all over the place. I'm going to go Patriots +4.5. Anytime I get Bill Belichick in positive points, I'm taking that. I mean, the guy's the greatest coach of our lifetime. Monday Night Football, another anticlimactic game. I mean, outside of the Patriots and the Hawks, these games don't seem like they're going to be very good. But we have the Saints in Oakland, and I keep saying Oakland, Las Vegas, and Las Vegas getting 5.5 points. Tim, we'll kick it off with you again. Who are you going with, and why are you taking the Saints?
I mean, why would I not wear the jersey? I'm going with the Saints. Drew Brees, I mean, they didn't look that great. Michael Thomas might not play, even with that, they have an outstanding offense. They're going to move the ball. They're going to score points. The Raiders looked really good against a defense that was really bad. Now that they're going to play a real defense, like the Pats do have a real defense. Saints have a real defense too. I don't see Derek Carr putting up as many points as Drew Brees and that offense could put up. You got Kamara and Tay-Train in the backfield. If they have to go to the run game, they can and will. But you don't like Tay-Train?
Hashtag Tay-Train.
No, nobody calls him that. I know.
I do. I call him that.
Nick calls him that. So Saints, I believe they're minus 5.5, and I got under 50.5.
Sir, what do you got?
Let's not overthink things. Let's take the Saints. Let's take the under. Let's go to the pay window. That's it.
Doug, what are you thinking?
I don't know in what world I would ever be able to take the Raiders in a game against the New Orleans Saints, because the Saints are also consider themselves Super Bowl contenders. Do we consider Las Vegas Super Bowl contenders? Do we even consider them a good football team? They're okay, but
Average at best.
I saw the spread at 6.5, 5.5. I like the Saints even more because now I'm crossing over that 6-point barrier. I almost find this as one of the easiest games to pick of the week. New Orleans minus 6.5, easy
I
money.
agree. I have to think that 5.5 is because they're afraid that the Michael Thomas injury is going to affect them in some way. I mean,
Apparently, he's out. He's going to be out several weeks. I just got an alert.
wow, that's actually late breaking news. I mean, but by the time our listeners hear this, they'll already know that. But that's huge. Wow. I can't think in any world that the Saints are not going to win by a touchdown or more. I mean, Carolina is an absolutely horrible team, and I did have in some bets Oakland with the points there against Carolina because of how bad Carolina's defense is. But this is completely different. I mean, the Saints are a Super Bowl contending team. I'm not taking Oakland, Las Vegas over Saints in any amount of points. So I'm going Saints in this game as well. Going into fantasy, where I call myself a little bit of an expert, but I did win our DFS league.
Barely.
Between the three of us. The narrative in fantasy in DFS was invest in small money running backs and pound high dollar wide receivers. I mean, the fact that Devontae Adams was that $7,000 in DFS is almost egregious. I mean, the guy obviously had 44 points. I did talk about Jacobs probably having his best game of the season last week, and he did have that, and he had it against me in multiple fantasy leagues. But I'm here to talk about, and I'm wearing orange today because I don't have Amazon Prime and couldn't get a jersey soon enough, but I'm talking about hashtag Moneymaker Mitch. I told you guys. I told you that Mitch was going to cook. I told you. Don't ever doubt me. But no, in all seriousness, at the fourth quarter, 23-6, Mitch was down. When Desmond Trufant got hurt, before that, he was 11-25 with 150 yards and 0 touchdowns. After Trufant got hurt, he was 9 of 11 with 92 yards and 3 touchdowns. So obviously that helped quite a bit. I mean, I had to listen to a ton of friends text me and say, you picked Mitch. But in the end, Mitch put up 25 points, and I got some Allen Robinson buck there too, so that was pretty good. But going over my DFS lineup for today, I'm taking – and when we talk about sports betting, and we'll get into a little bit with the parlay, I think you can argue when the right time to pick a sports betting. But fantasy, 100%, the right time to pick it is the day of, in my opinion. So obviously, these picks are subject to change based on what happens from now until Sunday. Obviously, with Mike Thomas being hurt, maybe picking some of their wide receivers that are going to get some action at a cheap rate might be the way to go. But for me, I'm going Josh Allen at Miami for 6,700. Rushed for a couple touchdowns. I know, Doug. I know. But you're looking at Cam Newton. Miami gave up the most rushing yards of any team in the NFL in week 1. Cam Newton had 2 rushing touchdowns. I'm going Josh Allen in his hot start. For running backs, I went cheap again. I went with the same narrative. That obviously going cheap on my running backs and heavy on my wide receivers. I'm going Malcolm Brown for 5,700. You looked at Barber against the shit fucking Eagles, scored 2 goal line touchdowns, and Malcolm Brown himself had 2 goal line touchdowns. I know. So I'm going to go Malcolm Brown until there's a reason not to. At 5,700. I mean, I'm just looking for a touchdown there. And then I'm going Nyheim Hines and Minnesota for 5,300. I mean, any way you slice it, he's going to be rushing, but he's going to be catching passes. He caught more passes than Jonathan Taylor. He had more targets. So I'm going to go him there. With Mac down, it looked like Nyheim Hines was the goal line guy. And, again, I'm going for the guy that's at the goal line. Rivers, Uncle Rivers is throwing 35% of the time to his running backs. So I think you're getting some points there too. Obviously, with 2 suspect running backs, my wide receivers are going to be money. I'm going D-Hop, Deandre Hopkins against Washington for $7,700. And I know I'm going to get beat up for this because I obviously was not for drafting Hopkins in any fantasy league. I just didn't like value in the first round for a lot of different reasons. I mean, no preseason games, no chemistry with Kyler Murray. Looking for the big contract. He finally got it. Usually players that get traded, wide receivers that get traded to new teams, don't do so well in their first year. But Washington's secondary is awful, and Hopkins obviously has some chemistry with Kyler Murray after that first game. I mean, if they can do that against San Francisco defense, which obviously took a step back from last year, I know, sir. But, you know, obviously still a solid defense. I'm going him. I'm obviously taking Julio Jones at Dallas, the man that can't score but will put up fantasy points anyway for 7,400. I mean, Dallas's defense is also horrible. You saw what LA did to them, so I'm going Julio. And I'm going to take Juju Smith-Schuster versus Denver at 6,500. I mean, Humphreys didn't have the best game. Corey Davis obviously had the best game. But the slot receiver Humphreys had a great game, got a lot of targets. You saw what Juju did yesterday in the slot, 2 touchdowns, a couple big plays. So I'm going Juju Smith-Schuster there. Tight end, I'm going Logan Thomas at Arizona, $3,600. Arizona, I talked about last week being one of the worst defenses last year against tight ends. Logan had a touchdown against Philly. Here's the deal. Sprinkle started the game at tight end for Washington, but Logan Thomas played 75% of the snaps. And I'm taking the guy that's going to be on the field longest as a guy that's going to score points. So let me get Logan Thomas. At flex, here's a name that I think will be a little bit of a head-scratcher, but I'm going Scotty Miller versus Carolina at 4,100. The reason for this is a little perplexing. Obviously, and even today, Bruce Arians talked about Mike Evans, feeling sorry for Mike Evans not getting 10 targets. You could almost hear him greasing the squeaky wheel. And I do think Mike Evans is going to have a good game, hamstring aside. But Brady praised Scotty Miller after the game. And actually almost led the team in targets along with Godwin. And if he had caught that deep ball instead of dropping it, he would have had a bigger game. So let me get Scotty Miller as my flex play at 4,100. And closing out with my defense, I'm going the Bucs at home against Carolina. I thought the Bucs defense played really well against the Saints. I mean, obviously the Saints won the game. Brady was the bigger reason why they gave up as many points. I mean, obviously the interception return for a touchdown from Jack Rabbit, but I think the Bucs defense looked actually pretty good. I mean, against a Saints team that could score at will. But give me the Bucs as my defense, and that'll round out my team. Sir, you finished second. So, sir, what do you think? What do you got going for your team?
Nick, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
Do you think Scotty Miller is going to fill the Edelman role that Brady needs? The little outlet passes, the quick underneath routes. But that Scotty Miller could be the Edelman that Brady is so used to.
I don't know. See, here's the deal. I don't think I would draft Scotty Miller. Or I certainly wouldn't use a waiver on Scott Miller, due to the fact that when all things equal and everybody's healthy, Scott Miller is one of the lowest options. He's got Mike Evans. He's got Chris Godwin. So I don't think I would use a waiver on him unless I was absolutely desperate at wide receiver. But you looked at a Patriots team when Brady was playing there where it was hard to pick who was going to score that week. And we all thought that was Belichick, and maybe it is, but if Tom Brady likes somebody, I mean, Tom Brady's going to throw to who Tom Brady wants to throw to. There's only a certain amount of quarterbacks that we've seen in our lifetime, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. I think Aaron Rodgers is in that class where it doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is. Any four of us could be the offensive coordinator. They're going to throw to who they want to throw to. They're going to call the plays that they want to call, and they're going to do what they want to do, and they're going to be successful because they're the greatest of all time. I don't honestly know the answer to that question, but I do like Scotty Miller. At least it gets me enough points to where Juju, D-Hop, and Julio can anchor my team. But who knows? I mean, it remains to be seen. Logan Thomas, on the other hand, is a guy I would target if you're like me, who had Blake Jarwin on fucking 3 teams. Is a guy that I would target in the waivers. And, of course, I'm saying that in a league where Tim is playing against me in 3 different leagues. But I do like Logan Thomas as somebody who it looks like is going to be a factor in the Washington offense. Sir, what do you got for your DFS team?
All right. So at quarterback, I went Kyler Murray at 6,100. He's got, as you mentioned, he's got weapons with Nuke Hopkins and his rushing ability. You create pressure, he gets off, he runs away. He had 95 yards rushing against the Niners last week. That's fantasy points right there.
Yeah.
At running back, I went Ezekiel Elliott at 8,200. The boy looked good on Sunday night. So give me Zeke Elliott 8,200. And
Sir, real quick before you go through, is it true? The rumors are swirling that if you win any amount of money on your DFS lineup, that you will get a "Feed Me" tattoo on your stomach.
Absolutely not. bad, Mo. Bad.
Sorry, continue.
My number 2 running back, Bruce Arians, wasn't lying. I'm gonna take Ronald Jones a second at 5,200. I mean, with Fournette and Shady and all them bad boys, Ronald Jones got the workload. So give me him as my second running back. At receiver, I'm going to take Will Fuller and Hollywood Brown. Both those 2 receivers treated me really well last week in fantasy. Will Fuller at 6,300, Hollywood Brown at 6,200. Hollywood was the number 1 receiver. He had about 5 catches, about 100 and some yards. That's good points right there. As my third receiver, he looked good in Monday night. Give me Mr. Slayton. Darius Slayton at 5,000. Giants didn't look that great, but Daniel Jones has a connection with Slayton, seems.
Yeah.
At tight end, as Nick, you mentioned it. Give me Logan Thomas at 3,600. He's got a lot of upside. He gets the targets. And the Cardinals are not very good against the tight end. So it's a little cheap option in DK. At the flex, sorry, Marlon Mack. Boy was doing well, but your new starter in Indy, Jonathan Taylor, at 5,600. I think he's going to get the goal line work. You say Hines, but they drafted this dude for a reason. Let's put him to work.
No.
And my defense, I mentioned Slayton looked good, but the rest of the team looked bad. Give me the Bears defense at 3,700.
There you go.
Daniel Jones is he's going to throw. Go ahead.
No, we're sports betting guys, but what do you think the odds would have been on betting Big Ben to have more rushing yards than Barkley?
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I feel like if I had put $1 down, I would have been able to pay off my mortgage. I mean, that would have been the odds that Big Ben, fat, slow, Big Ben, would actually outrush Barkley, but it happened, and I can understand why you're picking the defense.
Fat and slow. There's only one person in this group of people who is not either of those things. So take it easy where you're going here. Who is the?
I mean, I just can't. I mean, it seemed like every single time that Barkley tried to run, he just got everything thrown at him.
That's true.
Whole offensive line there, and the Giants have so.
Yeah, I could see that.
Take away the best player on the team, and you got a shot to win. And that's what they did.
Yeah. Tim, what do you got for your fantasy team?
All right, let's run it down really quick. My quarterback, Nick, if Mitch Trubisky can throw for 3 touchdowns against a team, what do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to do to that same team coming off the best game of a quarterback? It's especially him week 1, 6,900. Give me Aaron Rodgers. I'll fast forward to my wide receiver. I paired him up with Devontae Adams, and I hope they do exactly what they did week 1 plus some. I'll jump back to running backs. Ronald Jones II against the team that Nick did a very good foresight in saying that Jacobs will have his best game of the whole season. That's true. He's not scoring 3 touchdowns again against any other team, but hopefully Ronald Jones mirrors that and runs the ball right down Carolina's throat. 5,200? Yeah, 5,200. Running back number 2, I went a little homerish, but I just think that, workload alone hopefully might get me some points. Mr. Frankie Gore, old man, 4,500.
Turn back the clock. Let's go.
Listen. Who else do they have? I don't know. With Bell's out, Frankie's in. Maybe he'll get 50 rushing yards. Who knows? The Niners didn't look too great last week. They're playing a better team though. I'll give them that. All right. So I had Adams as wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. I also took DeAndre Hopkins. He looked amazing, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. He got more targets than just about any other receiver, and turned those targets into big points. Wide receiver 3, I went Mr. Slayton in the Giants. There's a connection there, and until I see him turning to another quarterback, another wide receiver rather, I'm going to go with Slayton and until that happens. Tight end, I took Doug, you like this, Mr. Knox in Buffalo. Very, very cheap option, 3,700, and it was against the Jets. I get it. But the Bills looked very, very, very good. One of the few teams returning a lot of starters. The connection was there across the board. If your quarterback ever squares up and delivers strikes on some lackadaisical throws, they should have beat the Jets by 24 points instead of just 10 or whatever it wound up being. With that being said, the flex, I went homer again. Mr. Crowder for the Jets, 5,400. He had a ton of targets too. There's nobody else on the Jets to throw the ball to besides him and the tight end. And 5,400 is relatively cheap for a flex. Defense, I went Tennessee Titans, 3,500. And that's my lineup.
Pretty good lineup. Doug, I know you're not a DFS guy, but is there anybody you like this week in terms of fantasy?
Well, yeah, I don't do the daily fantasy sports thing, but I can tell you a couple of your guys' picks that I do like and a couple that I don't like. Kyle Murray, I do not like this week. That Washington pass rush is the real deal. I think Kyle Murray is going to struggle this week against Washington.
I did say rushing yards, bro.
I think they're going to struggle.
He might be running for his life like he did against the Niners.
Yeah, that's very true. I do like Josh Allen. It is a little bit of a homer pick, but I mean, if he could just held on to the ball last week and not fumbled 2 times and missed a wide open John Brown in the back of the end zone where, my 12-year-old nephew could have easily thrown that pass. So I do like Josh Allen this week. There was one other one, and I do like Jonathan Taylor this week. He's got another year. He's got another week under his belt. There's no more Marlon Mack. He's out for the season. Just they keep saying how he struggles in the receiving and catching the ball out of the backfield. So you could go either way, Jonathan Taylor, or you can go Hines. I'm not really sure. Either way, you can go with that. And I also really like this week. I like Jared Goff this week as a sleeper guy to go with this week. I mean, He looked okay. He looked okay week 1, and they're playing a team with that. Look who. What was I gonna say? Who were they playing? The Philadelphia. Look who Philadelphia lost to Washington and Haskins. Really? He lost to Haskins and the Redskins.
Doug, I invited you on the show, Doug.
Yeah.
I guess he's not coming back week 3, huh?
Yeah. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, it was a good time to turn the game off before the second half started.
It's true.
We'll go through our parlay picks, and let's do this a little bit quicker. This is one thing, though, I wanted to say about fantasy versus sports betting. One of my teams that I picked was obviously the LA Rams, who are now giving away a 1.5. This game just yesterday was LA Rams plus 3.5. They've gone from plus 3.5. They were actually getting points against the Philadelphia Eagles with that offensive line against Aaron Donald. They were actually getting points and now have already gone down to minus 1.5. I'm still taking the Rams. They're the better team right now until Philly. I mean, Lane Johnson guaranteed himself active for the game. And in games where Lane Johnson plays under Doug Peterson, they have a winning percentage somewhere around 6 or 7. In games where Lane Johnson doesn't play, their winning percentage is around 3. But give me the Rams anyway, minus 1.5. I mean, bet with your head, not your heart. Tampa Bay, minus 9. I think if this game on Sunday gets to 10, I probably would shy away, but I'll take Tampa Bay minus 9 against a Carolina team with no secondary and no defense for that matter whatsoever. I understand that Brady didn't play so well, but he was playing a Super Bowl, caliber team, as Doug said earlier. This line was 2 days ago minus 7 for Tampa Bay and has already gone to minus 9. Obviously, a lot of money on Tom Brady, but I'm going to go Tampa Bay minus 9. And then give me Arizona minus 6.5 against Washington. I mean, I don't know. A touchdown. I think Arizona is actually a really good team. I don't think Washington is a good team. I think that playing off the narrative, their coach was getting IV fluids at halftime due to his cancer treatment. And playing off the, win one for the Gipper narrative. And then just the mere fact that the Eagles' offensive line and Carson Wentz just played absolutely awful, I think has more to do with Washington's win than Washington themselves. I will agree that their front seven is horribly, horribly dangerous and one of the better front sevens in football. But give me Arizona minus 6.5. And that's my 3-team parlay. So I'm going favorites on all 3. Tim, who do you got?
All righty. Last week we all took a bath on the damn Colts. Never betting Philly Rivers again. That
bad, Mo. That bad.
It killed you guys with Survivor, and it killed my parlay. And
they said on Good Morning Football, Rivers gonna river, and I didn't know what that meant until Sunday.
Yeah, and then Detroit had my cover right in 2 hands until he dropped it in the end zone. Mr. Swift, the poor rookie, that's got to sting for a while. But forgetting about last week, this week,
new week.
we're gonna win some money. This is the parlay. Starting off with the Buffalo Bills, minus 5.5. They look like the Jets are bad, and they are. I can admit that. But the Bills did look really good. If they clean up some of their sloppy mistakes, they are going to win easily come Sunday. My second team is the Saints, minus 5.5. You guys said it. Probably the easiest bet of the week. If it stays at 5.5, that's where I'm going. Mike Thomas, yes or no. You're saying no. That's fine. Don't need him. 5.5 is easy. And last but not least, Nick said, bet with your heart. Bet with your head, not with your heart. That's where I'm going with the last one, sir. You'll enjoy this. Niners minus 7. If it was minus 14, I'd still take a minus 14. And maybe garbage time points will make it close, but the Niners are my pick of the week. And I had two other ones I couldn't really decide between, but just in case you want to flip-flop with anyone else, I also like Green Bay -6, and I actually like the Vikings money line to win straight out.
Doug, what do you got?
Well, Tim, me and you are in agreement on a lot of our picks here. Obviously, as I said before, I said it's a no-brainer. New Orleans -5.5, 6.5, 7.5. New Orleans to me, especially I saw it at 6.5 earlier today. It's down to 5.5. I guess Oakland, Las Vegas looked impressive week one. Whatever. New Orleans -5.5. I think that's a no-brainer pick. The LA Chargers look so bad week one. They're just not a good football team, like I was saying. Tyrod Taylor, there's a reason why he was backup in places that didn't even have good quarterbacks. So give me Kansas City -8.5. Give me Kansas City -20. They'll win by 25 plus. They're the best team in football. And you're telling me I'm only laying 8.5 points against the Chargers team? That seems like the easiest pick. That seems like the easier pick than the New Orleans pick. And I do like the Vikings at +3.5. Their offense is good, really good. And they were in a shootout with Green Bay, who's another good team. And you're giving me 3.5 points? I'll take it. I'll take the 3.5 with them. Another one that you also like, I do like the 49ers -7. I think the Jets I don't think the Jets could have looked worse than they did week one. So
take it easy over there.
7. I like the Bills too, but I never bet on my own team because I will bet with my heart. Whenever my team is involved, I leave that game alone no matter what. But I do like the Bills -6. I would just never bet it because you never bet with your heart, and that's exactly what happens. So I never.
The hardest thing to do is to separate your heart from your head. I know it's really difficult for me to draft an Eagle. Just because I think most of it has to do with the fact that if they suck in the game, I'm just going to be extra pissed off. But I don't know. And Tim, just back to your point, DeAndre Swift did not drop a single pass his senior year in college. So
how many was he throwing? 0?
No, he was throwing passes. He was throwing passes.
In the hands.
That's just like we said. River's going to river, but Detroit going to Detroit. I mean, I don't know what else to say. That was just horrible. Sir, what do you got for your parlay?
All right, I got a couple honorable mentions first. Some games that I was thinking about. I was thinking about Jacksonville +9. They killed me last week, so I was thinking about it, but couldn't pull the trigger. Minnesota +3 was another game I was looking at, as you guys mentioned. And then San Fran Jets under 42.5. I was thinking about the Jets ain't scoring, but well, I'm sorry. I'm saying, but my parlay I went with the San Fran -7, as you mentioned. I figured KC -8.5. Patrick Mahomes, Tyrod Taylor. Give me Mahomes. And Trubisky tore him up. Aaron Rodgers going to do it to him too. Give me Green Bay -6.
Can we just real quick? It's hashtag Moneymaker Mitch. If we're gonna mention him, we should mention him by his full name, please.
Hashtag no, sir. That's not sticking. Neither will Tate Train either, all right?
Tate Train is an actual nickname. People call him that.
Nobody calls him that.
Everybody calls him that. Sir, did you hit your 3 teams?
Yeah, San Fran -7, Green Bay -6, and KC -8.5. All favorites.
Before we rapid fire our best bets of the week, we want to thank Doug for jumping on the show. Doug, do you have anything you want to plug or anything?
I want to thank you guys for having me. It's been fun. Also, you guys need a place to watch Sunday Ticket. Hit me up. $15 a month, all the live TV, NFL Ticket, every sporting event possible, pay-per-view. You know where to find me.
I'll say this. I watched the Eagles were on 1 o'clock and living in New Jersey, central New Jersey. I don't get a lot of Eagles games. So when the Eagles are on TV, I watch the Eagles. But we were watching Doug TV. We call it Doug TV. But we were watching Doug TV on my iPad, and we were getting all the games, and they were crystal clear, and there was not much delay at all. So obviously, get with Doug. Or you can always shoot us a message at SBFS Show on Instagram and Twitter, and we can get you a direct line to Doug for that. It does work, and it actually works really, really well. But nonetheless, thanks, Doug, for jumping on the show. Tim, thank you very much as always. Sir, thank you as well. Again, this is Sharp Bets and Fantasy Sets. You can follow us at SBFS Show on Instagram and Twitter, and we're obviously a part of the True Exact Radio family, so we want to thank them for allowing us to do this each and every week. You can follow them at True Exact Radio on Instagram and Twitter. We have podcasts dropping almost every single day, including another one that I do, Mark's Side of the Ring. When we drop on YouTube on Wednesdays, make sure that you like us and follow the channel True Exact Radio. And when we drop on iTunes on Thursdays, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe. I don't know why I can't click on subscribe. But make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe. To finish off, we will go through our best bets, and I will start first. I am betting Logan Thomas to score at any point in the game. I do think he will score. Give me in a survivor pool, because obviously if you didn't pick Indy, you're still in it. Give me Tampa Bay at home against Carolina, or give me Arizona at home against Houston. Tim, what do you got?
All right. I just want to say thank you, Doug, for joining us. You know, my team's better normally, but not last week. Not last week. You took us out. Got to give you props where it's rightfully deserved. My best bet of the week is, sir, it's your boys, the Niners, -7. Take it to the bank, survivor, money, bang, how much you got in the account. Just drop it right there, -7. And if you happen to lose, it's Sir's fault. Remember that. He's the Niners guy.
Sir, what do you got?
I hate betting on my boys. I really do. It pays me, but I got to do it this week. San Fran -7. Let's ride. Zach, let's put some money on this game, kid. Come on, let's get this money.
Okay.
Doug, what do you got?
And a nice prop bet. I don't know if it's a line, but Kyler Murray over rushing yards. I don't know the exact number, but that seems like a solid play.
So let's just say, for the sake of the argument, that the rushing line is 45.5. You going over or under?
Over.
Okay. Doug, what do you got?
I'm a big teaser guy, so I love playing teasers. For anybody that's not familiar with teasers, you can choose. Usually the standard is you get 6 lines towards the spread, whichever team you pick. So, for example, I love this week San Francisco. I had it at 7, so you're getting 6 points. So you get San Francisco -1. And then I'd also take with that, I take Kansas City, get it down to 2.5. And New Orleans, I get it down to, well, you guys said it was 5.5. I had it at 6.5, so I had them -0.5 point. So I love teasers. I think they're one of the best. It makes it almost like you can't lose.
But you
can lose on them. But I do love. So I had a couple I wrote down. Tampa Bay -3.5. You'd get it at San Francisco -1, Baltimore -1, Kansas City -2.5. Those are some great plays to play in a teaser bet. It is my favorite bet. I definitely put in a couple teasers every week. Makes me feel like they're easy bets, even though they aren't always. It doesn't always play out that way. That way, I can ask the Eagles about that one, as they screwed me. Yep.
I would take off my hat and throw it if it wasn't for my receding hairline. Thank you, guys. One more time, fantasy or sharp bets and fantasy sets. I am Nick. We have Sir, Tim, Doug. Thank you very much for tuning in, and good luck, everybody.